Good evening. Thank you all for your patience. Welcome to the April 2nd, 2018 Jurupa Unified School District Board of Education meeting. Roll call, please. Here.
Here. Here.
Here.
Here.
Thank you. Mr. Wander, will you please lead us in the flag salute? And before you sit down, please, if you would remain standing for a moment of silence. Please remain standing for a second. The board would like to have a moment of silence for two individuals. The first one, Miss Rachel Bremer, a retired nutritional services staff member, and also Miss Christina Chagola, a current nutritional service staff member. So the board would like to offer their condolences to their families and staff members. Thank you. Please be seated. Mr. Mendez, will you please lead us in our inspirational comment?
Thank you, Mr. President. Since Cesar Chavez Day was March 31st, just a couple of days ago, I selected one of his quotes, which says, preservation of one's culture does not require contempt or disrespect for other cultures. I think this is important because, especially in our society, it's so diverse that we respect each other regardless of, our backgrounds and so forth. And so that's why I selected this. But in addition to that, I came across some information that I had some I knew about Cesar Chavez, but some others I didn't. I also found out that he, in addition to being a migrant worker himself and experiencing the injustices of hard labor for little pay, he, in organizing the workers in the fields, especially the vineyards, he also founded, of course, the United Farm Workers of America as a result of that. But ultimately, he also served in World War II, and he was awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom in 1994. So with that in mind, I think that it was appropriate to honor him in selecting one of his quotes for this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mendez. Mrs. Elzig, will you please report out from closed session?
Yes, thank you. The board voted in closed session with a 5-0 vote to appoint Deborah Segala as elementary principal of Sky Country Elementary. And Deborah, if you would stand, please.
Congratulations, Ms. Segala. The board has every confidence in your abilities, and we congratulate you for that. Number one, welcome 2017-2018 student board members. Mr. Duchamp.
Good evening, student board members. How are you tonight? Welcome. So let's start with Natalie in Jurupa Valley.
Good evening, President Garcia, members of the board, Mr. Duchamp, and cabinet. These past couple of weeks are starting to speed up for us Jaguars. We are just getting back from spring break and going straight into a busy week. Our last pep rally of the year is this Friday. Our theme is music festivals, and though every year we separate each class into sections, this year we will be one united theme. Our Spirit Week is Monday, Share the Music, wear your favorite band, musical artist t-shirt. Tuesday is Fun in the Sun, dress as a tourist. Wednesday is It's Wednesday, My Dudes, Vine Day. Thursday is Throwback Thursday, 50s through 90s style, and Friday is Festival Day, wear neon colors. The last theater show of the year is Thursday, April 5th at 3 p.m. and Friday, April 6th at 6 p.m. Tickets are just $5, and the show features one act such as Hamlet and Lord of the Pies. March 20th, 2 act students competed in the Southern Region speaking competition. Congrats to Isaac Martin del Campo for placing 4th in extemporaneous, and Kyle Dayton for placing 1st in prepared public speaking. Both advanced to state finals. Way to go, Jags. We also wanted to congratulate our FFA parliamentary procedure team for qualifying to compete in the state FFA competition. They will compete against the top 20 teams in the state. Our prom is approaching fairly fast. Prom is April 27th from 7 to 11 at the Richard Nixon's Library, and the theme is Garden of Love. Tickets went on sale the week before spring break, starting at $55 with ASB and $75 without ASB. As the weeks go by, the prices increase. We also had our prom fashion show March 16th. We had 10 lovely gals and 9 gentlemen who gave us ideas of what styles to wear at prom. Thank you, and that concludes my report.
Thank you. And from Rubidoux High School, Ohio, if you could give us your report.
Good afternoon, school board trustees. I'm glad to be here to let you all know what has been going on at Rubidoux High School since our last meeting. A couple weeks ago, we had our career day in which various professionals came to give presentations on their respective line of work to students during their advisory period, and the overall response from the students was great. The following week, we launched our school-wide Club Food Week, which fundraised a lot of money for the many clubs and sports we have at Rubidoux by selling unique items such as elote, drinks, ribs, all sorts of various items. Also in our news, our ASB will be sending 8 student leaders to the California Association for Student Leaders Camp in Ontario this weekend, where we hope to strengthen and improve our program for next year. Also, today was the start of voting for ASB officers and nominations for prom court. Once the prom nominees are selected, they will campaign through the week leading up to prom, which is next week and will be held at Chaffey College and will be from 8 to 12. Thank you, and this concludes my report.
Thank you both. On to recognition. Number 2A, recognize best of the best for January, February, and March Employee Recognition Program. Mr. Brooks.
Good evening, President Garcia, trustees, Mr. Deshawn. As always, it's such an honor to present to you the best of the best for the months of January, February, and March in this case. Our committee took many nominations from around the district, and it is with great pleasure that I share our best of the best with you tonight. And I will ask each one of them to come forward as I call their names. So our first recipient tonight is Mr. Jack Brown. So Jack Brown is a heating and air conditioning mechanic, and as such, he's one of those on whom we depend to keep our students and our staff safe and cool on our hottest days and comfortable throughout the rest of the year. Jack's extensive experience and knowledge of the HVAC field is evident in every job that he completes. Nominated for the exceptional quality of the service that he provides, the depth of his knowledge and his attention to detail are demonstrated in the way that he is able to troubleshoot all of the challenges that come with the commercial-sized heating and cooling systems that we operate in our district. In Jack's line of work, there's always a time restraint. So Jack plans ahead and orders materials needed in advance. He walks through the site and he reviews all of the plans involved in our projects. He's a model of dedication, and we all benefit from his work. We are so fortunate to have Jack with us, and he is truly deserving of being recognized as best of the best. Thank you for all you do, sir. Our next recipient tonight is Irene Murguia. Irene is a secretary at Mission Middle School. I would imagine that you've all observed this on your visits to Mission, but a very common experience for anyone who enters their office is to be greeted by Irene's kind smile, which I know she had there a moment ago. Her gracious and welcoming manner is extended not only to the teachers and staff at this school or from the district, but she's also known for the warmth and friendliness that she shows students and is often praised by parents for her kind, welcoming, and receptive approach with them. Irene takes time out of her daily duties to listen and to try to help address any concerns that parents have. She's appreciated by all for her dedication, patience, and support. Irene is absolutely one of Jurupa's best of the best, and we are so fortunate to have her as part of the Jurupa family. Thank you for all you do. Our next recipient tonight is Ashley Stewart. Unfortunately, Ashley was unable to be here tonight, but we'll take a moment to acknowledge her. Ashley is a bus driver for special students. She works day in and day out to ensure that our students in special education get to and from school safely. She was specifically nominated due to the positive impact that she has on her students by going above and beyond for them. In one instance, Ashley's positive interactions have made a significant difference for a student who had been having a particularly difficult time with his behavior and attitude. Ashley enthusiastically welcomes this student in the morning and sends him off of her bus with encouragement for the day. By providing a positive start to his day and by making him feel accepted, she has contributed to improving his behavior at school and sets him on a good trajectory for the rest of his day. Ashley's kindness and support have greatly contributed to this student's success, and her effort and influence on him have been observed by his teachers, his aides, and administrators. Ashley is an exceptional employee and is very deserving of best of the best. And we congratulate her. Thank you, Ashley. The next recipient is Blanca Preciado Diaz. Blanca Preciado Diaz is a teacher at Mission Middle School. Known as a dedicated teacher who advocates for her students, Blanca focuses her energies in the classroom on ensuring that her students have the structure they need to thrive and instruction that will lead them to continue to grow and to develop their language skills. Her lessons are relevant to her students' lives, which enables them to build character and to receive life lessons that they can apply. Outside of the classroom, Blanca has formed a new club on campus called MAS. The purpose of the club is to help students who are English learners have greater opportunities to be exposed to different colleges. The students in the club meet to plan field trips and have organized a school-wide carnival to celebrate and share their leadership, creativity, and culture. And through it all, Blanca organizes resources so that the students have the best possible experiences. Her dedication to our students is inspiring, and she very much deserves to be recognized as the best of the best. The next recipient is Stella Sloan, and unfortunately Ms. Sloan was not able to be here tonight, but we will take a moment to acknowledge her. Ms. Sloan is a highly respected math teacher at Jurupa Valley High School. Having dedicated her entire career to Jurupa, Ms. Sloan is held in high regard by both her colleagues and the student body at Jurupa Valley. Her vast knowledge of mathematics and her innate ability to teach it in such a way as to help students understand is awe-inspiring. As one of the original math teachers at Jurupa Valley, she directly contributed to building the school's mathematics program. Teaching AP statistics, and therefore having worked with so many of the top math students on campus, has given Ms. Sloan a place of distinction among some of the brightest students. On top of all that, Ms. Sloan comes to work with a smile on her face every day and a willingness to make math joyous for her students. Stella Sloan is well deserving of the best recognition, and we thank her for all that she does. Our next recipient is Thomas Warner. Mr. Thomas Warner is a teacher at Ina Arbuckle Elementary, and it has been acknowledged here before the board that Mr. Warner really gets the students inspired to live a healthy lifestyle, but I think it's worth acknowledging his extra efforts yet again here in this context. In both of the past 2 years, as I think most of us know, he has run over 50 miles in one day to get the students excited about the 100-mile club. Thomas has been an advocate on site for new equipment for students so that they can enjoy getting to play and to learn new sports so that they can ultimately be healthy and active. He gives up his time and energy not only to hold tournaments throughout the school year, but to coach and support other teachers in putting on excellent physical education programs for their students. Mr. Warner has also created a small mobile library that his students can access during recess. They're able to take out a book, read it, return it, and then take another. This is all done on the honor system, and the students love it. Thomas has a great attitude and is always encouraging his students. He is an amazing and inspiring teacher and coach, and we are so happy to have him on the Jurupa team. Thank you, Mr. Warner. next recipient is Philip Chacon. Philip Chacon is the head custodian at Jurupa Middle School. Philip is an incredibly hard worker and takes great pride in his job. As anyone who visits Jurupa Middle can attest, Philip maintains a clean campus while also making himself available as needed to assist teachers and other staff. He comes to work every day with a positive attitude, and it shows in his results. Philip works well with his custodial staff, with students, and with teachers, administrators, and all other staff. One thing that sets Philip apart is his visibility around campus. He checks in with staff every day to ensure that their needs are met. Whenever something needs to be taken care of or if he's called upon to help, he follows through professionally and quickly. Philip is a terrific person to work with and a very hardworking employee, and it's an honor to recognize him with the best of the best here tonight. And our final recipient tonight is Damian Hernandez. Mr. Hernandez is the principal at Jurupa Middle School. As principal, he demonstrates leadership by making sound decisions quickly and confidently, and by making himself personally accountable for those decisions. With an open door policy and open lines of communication, Mr. Hernandez allows staff members to share their opinions with him and shows that he values the perspective of his staff. He encourages innovation and creativity, enabling teachers and other staff members to challenge themselves and others, as well as to collaborate effectively and efficiently with one another. His leadership has contributed to increasing the positive morale around campus, and Jurupa Middle School staff appreciate that Mr. Hernandez so clearly values them and the positive school environment that he is creating. Thank you, Mr. Hernandez, for being such a vital part of the Jurupa family. And lastly, I would just like to recognize those employees who were selected for honorable mention, and if any of them are here, I would ask that they please stand at their seat when their name is called. Veronica Hernandez Lizaldi, healthcare aide at Pedley. David Hudak, grounds worker in maintenance and operations. Consuelo Lopez, custodian at Pedley. Terry Miller, an accounting technician at the Education Center. Lawrence Nelson, lead night custodian at Mission Middle School. Elisa Norman, computer support technician at the Education Center. Irma Rainhell, activity supervisor and instructional aide at Glen Avon. Terry Spencer, a library technician at Rubidoux. Jasmine Torres, a translator clerk typist at Jurupa Middle School. Monica Barola, a teacher at Sunny Slope. Amber Harrell Toby, a teacher at Mission Middle School. Erica Krause, a teacher at Jurupa Middle School. Joshua Lewis, who's the director of education technology at the Education Center. And Jenna Sogstad, who's a principal at Rivercrest. So one more congratulations to all of our staff recognized tonight, and thank you all very much. Have a good evening.
Thank you, Mr. Brooks. And I just want to say all the best of the best and the honorable mention everyone mentioned tonight. The board is honored to recognize you here tonight for all your accomplishments. And we also thank you for your commitment to our students. So thank you and congrats. Okay, item 2B, recognize bilingual educators succeeding together award winners, the best awards. Mr. Dabrowski.
Thank you. On April 27th, 2018, the Riverside County Office of Education and CAVE, the California Association of Bilingual Educators, will recognize this year's Bilingual Educators Succeeding Together, or Best Award recipients. The goal of this program is to recognize outstanding educators who are working hard at closing the achievement gap. Board and administration would like to congratulate the Best Award winners listed below, and as I call your name, if you could please stand and be recognized. Administrator of the Year from Ina Arbuckle, James Wandry. Teacher of the Year from Mission Bell Elementary, Ramona Sanchez. Support Personnel of the Year from Jurupa Middle School, Jasmine Torres. Parent Community Volunteer of the Year from Mission Bell Elementary, Valerie Navarro. And Para-Educator of the Year from Granite Hill Elementary, Kenya Saavedra. Let's give all of these award recipients a big round of applause.
Thank you, Mr. Dabrowski, and all the best award winners. Thank you again for everything you do for all our students. It's an honor that we're able to recognize you here tonight. Okay, on to 2C, recognize induction into the Riverside Athletic Hall of Fame. Mr. Dabrowski.
Thank you, and I apologize, there's a typo in this title. Instead of Riverside Athletic Hall of Fame, it should read Citrus Belt Area Athletic Directors Association Hall of Fame. So, but Mr. Gard is here and already standing, so if you can wave while we recognize you. The Hall of Fame honors athletes, coaches, athletic administrators, and community leaders who have brought fame or honor to the Citrus Belt Area Athletic Directors Association through their involvement in athletics. The district was recently notified that Mark Gard, Jurupa Valley High School teacher and head basketball coach, is going to be inducted into the Sabata Hall of Fame on Tuesday, March 6th, or was inducted on Tuesday, March 6th. Congratulations.
Thank you, Mr. Dabrowski. And thank you, Mr. Garden. Congratulations for all your achievements and the recognition. Okay, go ahead, Mr. Turn.
Understand. I just want to add something and congratulate Mr. Gard because I knew his dad when I was in high school. His dad taught at Rubidoux High School, Arlo Gard. So he comes from a long line of athletic family. Congratulations again.
All right, and finally, 2D, recognize National School Bus Drivers Day. Mrs. Ford.
Thank you. The state has proclaimed the fourth Tuesday of each April as National School Bus Drivers Recognition Day in recognition of the dedicated service provided by our bus drivers, which you heard about one of them earlier this evening. Food and festivities will take place at approximately 9 a.m. on Tuesday, April 24th at the Transportation Department. And board members are all invited to join this event and honor the special contributions that our district bus drivers make each and every day. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Ford. Okay, on to board member comments. Start with you, Ms. Ortega.
Well, I just wanted to congratulate all those recognized and honorable mentioned for tonight. It's a funny thing, Mr. Warner, that I was in a conference this weekend and I was having dinner with, it's the husband of the wife who founded the 100 Mile, and I told them about you and they know you in other districts. So you're famous in other districts as well. So that was pretty cool. I was like, yes, he goes to Jurupa. And yes, as mentioned, I was in a conference I was from Tuesday. It's called CABE, and we're just learning how we can better equip our students, our districts, and what programs we're going to be highlighting here in our district with multilingualism and bilingualism. And it was such an interesting. It was my first conference of CABE, and it was so interesting. I can even by far say that it was the best conference I've ever been to because it really, Trustee Mendez said, it really focused on the cultural part that, you know, we can speak many languages, and it's not only Spanish, many languages, and embrace many cultures, and how we can move from policy to practice, and that was such a beautiful thing. We also had the pleasure to personally meet Dolores Huerta, who was co-founder of the labor union with Cesar Chavez, and I didn't know that she actually was the one who created the famous phrase "Si se puede." Everybody thinks it's Cesar Chavez, but it actually was Dolores Huerta. So she's in her 80s, early 90s, and she just gave the best speech we could have ever had. And we had many teachers, many parents. And I just want to invite here our district. I was there representing from our district, but it was a little bit sad that I was the only one, because Corona Norco, which is our neighbor, the district had parents, had their superintendent, had board members, had parents, had principals. So they really prepared to go to the CABE meeting and conference. And I would encourage our district to go for next year too, and get a little bit more involved with CABE as we are moving into a new policy. And I got copies for all of you guys. It's the California English Learner Roadmap. Because it is a new policy, a lot of educators don't know exactly how to implement. So the CDE, the California Department of Education, did a whole roadmap on how we can better equip our districts to the English learner, and with the new Prop 58. So again, I was really motivated after this conference to really start really the implementation. And this is what it is. This roadmap is a lot of the implementation. We can have amazing policy and it looks beautiful on paper. However, we as also board members and the policy implementers have to see and keep accountability for our district on how we are implementing, and in the bottom line, supporting our students and our teachers. So I brought a copy for you guys. So and yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ortega. Mr. Mendez.
Thank you, Mr. President. Unfortunately, I was not able to attend the California Association for Bilingual Education annual statewide conference. It is a fabulous conference, and it really provides valuable information and training opportunities all the way from parents to instructional aides to community members, administrators, teachers, you name it. Anyone in education or interested in education can benefit from that. It's a huge conference. I mean, it draws from all over the state, just thousands of people. So it's, I'm sorry I missed it this year, but hopefully I can be there next year. I also would like to add my appreciation to all those that were recognized here this evening for all the success that you've attained here in our district, and continue to be a positive aspect and influence in the lives of our students. It's really wonderful to have this recognition at each one of our board meetings to see the wonderful things that people continue to do day in and day out throughout our district. I'm looking forward to seeing those that have been selected from our district to be recognized by the BEST Awards. Again, it's sponsored by the California Association for Bilingual Education. I do plan to attend the award ceremony, and so those of you that will be presented with your certificates and recognition on that day, I'll be happy to be in the audience and cheer you on. And then I'm also looking forward to attending later on in the month Bus Drivers Day, is something that I always look forward to being at. And many of us, of course, remember many of our teachers, you know, that had an impact in our lives during our years in the schools. But believe it or not, I still to this day remember my Bus Drivers Day, Mrs. Wagner. She was a fabulous person. I was here, newly arrived in the States, 9 years old, speaking no English. And somehow she managed to not lose me, you know, or not allow me to get lost, you know, from my home to the school. I did get lost one time, but that's a whole other story. One time, just a little story to show you the kind of person she was. We were headed on the way to school, my brother and I, and it was a Monday. It must have been a Monday because it was a holiday, but we didn't know that. And she happened to be our neighbor, well, maybe about 3 or 4 blocks from our house. And it just so happened that we went by her house on the way to school. Wouldn't you know it, as we're going by, she's out there watering her front yard or something. I'm looking to my brother, like, why is she doing this? She's supposed to be driving her bus somewhere. And so she, not speaking any Spanish, me and my brother speaking no English, somehow she let us know that it was a holiday and for us to go back home. Don't ask me how that happened, but she was an amazing lady. So thought I'd share that story with you.
Thank you, Mr. Mendez. Mrs. Bradford.
Thank you, President Garcia. When I look out at this group of people, I think of how each of you is involved in the care of our children, different jobs. And our students, I'm always so proud of you. Thank you for coming. I think about the people, you know, we think about the teachers, the staff who greet the students every day, and I think the same thing about bus drivers. My husband and I always wave to them and think of the song, The Wheels on the Bus, and I think of how they have the opportunity, like custodians, like crossing guards, to have an impact on our children's lives at least once or twice a day. So wave to your bus drivers, wave to your crossing guard, and learn I know my crossing guard's name. And to Mr. Warner, when I look out at you, I think about Mr. Warner's epic run that even I got out in inappropriate shoes and walked around the track a couple of times. So you motivated me, and I think of you know, the marvelous talent of our teachers who motivate our students as best they can. So thank you all very much.
Thank you, Ms. Bradford. Mrs. Chard.
Okay, I want to congratulate Ms. Segala again. Wish her a rest of the good year that we're going to have, and then to have a good start for next year at her new position. It'll be exciting because the new school will be opening and things will be so much different out in that area. And again, I wanted to congratulate Mark Guard. When I was in high school, his dad was a coach and he was very popular and very well known. And I recently came across a picture of the two of them. And it's interesting because Mr. Guard, I believe, coached basketball, but he was only about 5'8". And his son, as you can see, was over 6 foot tall. So it's good to see that families run in our district. Mr. Mendez was talking about his bus driver. My bus driver lived down the street from my mother when she was growing up, and his name was George Kofer. His son became my mailman, and his wife was at Rubidoux High School as one of the secretaries in the office, Zena Kofer, when I was in high school. So in our district, we have a lot of families that continue, and because of the positions, it keeps them here. Their children grow up here and go to school, and it's a family. I mean, we are a family in this area, and it stays that way. And as Mrs. Bradford said, looking out here and all the families that come and support each other, the students that come and support their teachers and their principals, that's family life. I mean, I'm sorry, but we have it's like a village, like everyone says, and Jurupa Valley is a village. We're smaller than a lot of other areas, but we know each other and we remember each other for years along the way. So I also want to wish our best award winners, congratulate them also. I'm planning on going to that. And Kabe, I didn't get to go this year, but I plan on going next year. I've always wondered what it was because I always heard over the years about it. But I think after hearing you talk, I think I'm going to. And then I don't think I have any other reports. We haven't had anything since the last board meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Chard. And just to touch on a little bit what Mrs. Chard just said about family, and I know there are at least one person in the audience tonight, Miss Ramona Sanchez, is the daughter of John Chavez, who's here as well. Former school board member, and I heard somebody, I can't remember who, just the other day comment to me about teachers coming back to teach here, and I know several teachers have mentioned to me in the past at all levels, you know, the reason they came back to teach here is to give back to this district that did so much for them growing up, and so I think that's really speaks a lot to this district and the people in this community. So thank you all for that. First of all, I want to thank Ms. Ortega for representing us well at CABE. And unfortunately, I wasn't able to make it either. I'm not sure I can make that one, but I'll try next year. But thank you for representing us well. I saw a lot of the photos, and I did see some comments from Ms. Ibarra over in Norco, Corona Norco. Again, congratulations to the award winners. Great job, and we're happy to recognize you for those accomplishments. And Ms. Segala, congratulations again for your appointment there to Sky Country. So, And just wanted a couple more things I want to mention. I had an opportunity this past week before spring break, to interview some students at the 3 high schools for the American Legion Boys State. It's a really great program where the American Legion sends 3 students, one from each high school, up to Sacramento, and they learn about government and they learn about politics, but not local current politics, but they just learn about how government functions. So, and that's a week long. And there's also Girls State, so those young ladies were interviewed a couple of weeks ago, I think. And so just all I can say is we had a lot of fantastic candidates at the schools, and again, that's a testament of our staff and our teachers here in Jurupa. So thank you all very much. Now, before we move on to public verbal comments, I'd like to see if maybe we could take maybe 10 minutes, because we do have quite a few speakers. And also, I know maybe we want to congratulate some of the best before we get started. So please take 10 minutes, and then we'll start up again. Thank you. All right, let's get started again. Okay, the next item on the agenda, number 4, public verbal comments. So we'll go ahead and start. I've got 16 cards here, and if I would ask everyone to limit their comments to 3 minutes, and we will not be responding to any concerns, but if there's anything we could forward on the staff, of course we will. So, first speaker I have here is Mrs. Sylvia Olguin.
Thank you. I appreciate you putting me first, as my time's going to be running out. But no worries. I will call MOT and let them know to take vacation time off. I see all these teachers here. How great is that? And I hear many of you praise teachers. You know, they do a great job. Jurupa has the best. And it is true. Jurupa does have the best teachers. What they don't recognize these teachers for is their hard work, their time, personal time that they give, the money they give from their pockets. I personally know that because I've worked with many of these teachers at different sites. Words are good. Words are kind. But words, in this case, isn't what it takes. Action is what it takes. And a 1% raise for certificated and classified, that shows us just how proud you are of us. And that, to me, personally, is like a slap in the face. Because when Elliot can make over $200,000 and certificated who are actually in the classroom working hand in hand with their kids, when classified, again, actually in the classroom, working with kids, get what they get, if I was a superintendent, I would be embarrassed. You know what? A good superintendent leads the castle. And like I said before, I did not always disrespect Elliot or Tammy. At one point, I always gave him a heads up before I did my presentations. He gave me his word as a man and as superintendent. He would never ask for more in a raise than the unit members. And that was a slap in the face when we got 2% and Elliot got 16. 16%. And then this board praises him and say how great of a job he's done. But try as I might, and I've been working for the district since 90, there's not one thing that I could roll back my mind and say, wow, this really sticks out what he did, because he didn't even keep his word. Certificated are worth much, much more than 1%. These people teach, you know what? They don't teach with their minds or with their hands. They teach from their hearts. And these are some of the people that these kids turn to. I saw a movie this weekend called I Can Only Imagine. And I recommend that every board member and every executive board member go and see this movie. And look at this movie with your heart, because that is what the movie is about, heart. And then maybe you can walk in the kids in this district's shoes. We don't know what happens inside their house. Nobody knew what was going on in mine. But you know what? You should. We are all here for the kids. Teachers clearly show that. Classified clearly show that. We're one of the first ones they see in the morning and one of the last ones they see at night. We give what we got to give from the heart. We don't use words, we use hugs. We use encouragement.
Ms. Olkeen, your time is up.
Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Holguin. Next I have here Elsie Lewis. Did I get that right? All right, come on up.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm donating my time for our association.
Okay. You have what name? You got some other names here with cards, or?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll state your name. We'll.
Well, good evening, board. My name is Mara Ortega, and this is
Christina Sabas.
and we're from Rubidoux High School, and we're seniors there. And we would like to talk about our water polo program at our school.
The Friday before spring break began, we found out Rubidoux High School decided to cancel the water polo program at the school. Over 40 students have begun left devastated as their favorite sport, their outlet, and motivation will no longer exist. The team over the last 3 years have offered students a chance to experience a sport not often played within our community. We have built relationships and bonded with students and staff as the team grew from a handful and interested students over 45 prospective members. We have been given a little explanation to why the cancellation, other than our team possesses a safety risk. We have having difficulty understanding how our passion for the sport possesses a safety risk to the students at this school. We have full contact sports on campus like football that possesses a great risk to students' safety, and the sports in the district like golf that had to travel to practice and games as much as we do. Jurupa Valley High School has the program for many years, and it seems to us denying the program is not creating equitable opportunities for the students at our school. We have not been given the opportunity to try to troubleshoot the programs that our athletic director and AP claim to exist. Instead, we have been denied the access and opportunities, something we are passionate about. We ask you, all of us who have been positively impacted by the sport, ask you to reconsider and help us continue this sport.
Well, first of all, we've been told very little about the withdrawal of the sport, but we'd like you to know that the safety issues that they did tell us about are traveling. It's because we don't have a pool that meets the requirement for our games. So we do use the Cove and Jurupa Valley for our pool, but we have settled down to a plan where we wouldn't use Jurupa Valley anymore, and we would just use the Cove. And this would basically settle all of our safety issues because Patriots football team uses Rubidoux High School's football field, which is a community field, and they travel here every single home game, and so it's the same exact distance as Rubidoux would to travel to the Cove. So we feel as if this, would basically solve the whole entire problem. And us at Rubidoux, we are a family, and we take a lot of pride in our sports and our extracurricular activities. So we feel denying a sport such as water polo this this option of playing is very unacceptable. Well, it's just like as if they took away football, which many players do and spend time and enjoy playing. If they took that, it would cause a great distress among a bunch of football players. So I feel we should take a lot of consideration and understanding into the way we feel as a small sport such as water polo. Thank you for your time.
Okay. Young ladies, if I could ask you, maybe if you could come back up real quick and I just want to make sure I got your names right, if you don't mind. And then we're talking about Rubidoux, right? Okay.
My name is Mariah Ortega. It's spelled Maria with an H at the end. And
Okay.
then Ortega like Sylvia Ortega.
And your name?
My name is Christina Sabas, and then my last name is spelled T-S-A-B-A-S, the T silent. Is that all? Or
What was your name again? I'm sorry.
mine?
Yes,
Christina.
Christina. And then Elsie was back there, right? Okay. Elsie Lewis. Okay. All right. Thank you very much for coming up and. All right. Thank you very much for that. Next name I have here, Mr. Warren Dayton. Okay. If you would like to be the spokesman, Josh, we could definitely do that. All right, come on up. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you for allowing me to speak. My name is Joshua Hall. My daughter is a freshman at Jurupa Valley High School, enjoying her first year as a student, and also in your FFA program. Before coming to Jurupa Valley High School, she was very excited to be a part of the program due to its reputation. With my daughter's interest in FFA and an effort to support her, my wife and I joined the FFA Parent Support Group. Throughout the year, there have been several issues that have come to our attention that are cause for concern as a parent. In order for our daughter to be successful and for our children and for our own understanding, I feel that these concerns needed to be addressed. One of the first issues that was brought to our attention is the number of teachers that have circulated through this program in that school itself. Recently, we understand that Ms. Nordstrom will not be here next year at Jurupa Valley, and for some reasons we don't really agree with. We also understand that there was another teacher assigned as an ag teacher under Ms. Nordstrom's certificates without her knowledge. When Ms. Nordstrom was asked about the vans that were allocated the FFA and her understanding, then they were removed, stating they weren't for anyone specifically. She asked them to show where they were purchased and assigned, and they couldn't find all the information. Why was one set up with a tow package specifically for the FFA and then told them that they couldn't tow anymore? These raise additional concerns about the Jurupa Valley system and FFA program, how it's going to continue successfully, as it appears that this is in a spiral. Instead of obtaining additional information in consideration of merit as the year of the program becomes more successful, it appears that the program is downsizing and shrinking, despite the student-parent involvement and the positive inflection on the community. I've had the opportunity to speak to other parents who have had children in the program and parents who currently have children in the program and the past. The common trend is that the parents and students view the program is the way the administration acts negatively with FFA and the parents. The students should be enjoying the program and using the lessons to enrich their high school experience and some of their lives, and not to be concerned with who their new teacher will be or if they will still have a program next year. This year alone, FFA program has accomplishments that we've never had in previous years. State officer applicant, regional officer applicant, section Parley Pro team going to state. 12 students went to ALA MFE Leadership Conference, SoCal Fair in October with many accomplishments and awards. 2 representatives sent to Washington, D.C. leadership. Speaking contest winners through 2017 and 2018 school year, my daughter being one of them. Most recently, Indio Fair accomplishments, 4 first place showman awards, 4 master showman awards, many class winners, salsa winner, clean bar award, barn award, 2 of 3 advocate winners, and 8 scholarship recipients on that alone. Why are so many teachers being asked to leave? Why are so many teachers leaving? Why are the teachers afraid to comment on these issues and afraid of administration? Why are classes being brought in that are called ag sustainability and not being recognized as a CTE ag education course due to them having less than 50% ag contest standards, meaning they won't receive ag grant funds? How many times has the union been called to Jurupa Valley in the past 3 years? We're asking that the board to work with us, help us be transparent with each other, and provide some of the answers to some of these questions at your next meeting, giving you ample time to do research yourself. It would be unfair to ask for comments today. The school board has been charged with to look out for our students. Education is not a line item on the school board's agenda. It is the only item. And has this been looked into? Has this been put on the agenda? Has this been taken seriously, and has this been brought to your attention before? I would hope the answers to our concerns will be brought up at your next meeting, giving you an appropriate amount of time to investigate. Thank you all for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Hall. Okay, we'll move on to our next card here, Mr. Paul Swan Van Lint.
Hello again. My name is Paul Swan Van Lint, president of NEA Jurupa United. During this school year, NEA Jurupa has asked for increased genuine collaboration between our members who implement the district's policies, procedures, and programs with our students in the real world, and all levels of district administrators in the educational decision-making processes that create the working conditions for NEA Jurupa members and the learning conditions for Jurupa Unified School District students. While I have seen some signals that were encouraging, the reality is there is a strong lack of evidence that our voices have any meaningful influence in educational decision-making. Our members still have little hope of our district making the kinds of changes that our members believe would be best for students. I am looking forward to brainstorming with Dave Dabrowski and Michelle Markham later this month about the best ways to implement professional development in universal design for learning. I hope this is the start of a tradition of including our voices at the earliest possible stage of planning. In districts where I hear a collaborative relationship has been built between district administration and their educators union, including Colton Joint Unified and Moreno Valley Unified School Districts, regular meetings are had by association leadership with each assistant superintendent to proactively discuss issues of mutual concern. I hope to see this happen as well. Another positive example of the type of collaboration we seek in Jurupa is the way that district-level special education administrators offered collaboration with psychologists, mental health counselors, and behavior specialists on projects that allowed them to all work together to be a part of and make significant choices about how they do their jobs. The member who shared this with me and her colleagues feel that this was a truly collaborative approach and implementation that positively impacted their jobs and led to better outcomes for them, administration, and students. This is a model of what our mission seeks to accomplish. Unfortunately, and perhaps most discouragingly, however, our members in general see no evidence of their voices being heard. The majority of members who are overwhelmingly busy implementing district mandates in the real world hear no messages from the district or site administrators giving any evidence that they plan to take action to increase our genuinely collaborative role in making educational decisions. The district continues to be seen by our members at large as a faraway place where decisions that so strongly affect our members and students are made by people who are out of touch with the reality on the ground. Our members perceive that we, the trained, experienced professionals, with the expertise in serving every one of this district's students, are not included by the district as genuinely collaborative partners in imagining, building, and implementing the programs, policies, and procedures that will best serve our students. I do believe that the district is willing to increase collaboration. And I understand the cultural and institutional inertia and hurdles to making changes. I celebrate the willingness expressed by the district to increase collaboration, and I recognize the increased transparency and sharing of the educational decisions made with the district, with me personally, but it doesn't always trickle down down there. Yet the reality on the ground experienced by NEA Jurupa members at large seems unchanged. So I stand before you to ask for continued and accelerated progress towards shifting the very paradigm of our relationship to a collaborative partnership to best serve the needs of all students. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Swan Van Lent. All right, we have one here. Janella Dayton. She donated, okay. Kyle Dayton. All right.
Hi, I'm Kyle Dayton from Jurupa Valley High School. I'm still going to school right now, and I really appreciate the opportunity to come up here and speak with you. One thing that I've seen, not only with my career within, or my time within Jurupa Valley High School, but within the Jurupa Valley Unified School District, is something they stress a lot, is the ability to work together on a team. Be able to work together on a team to not only help the students accomplish what they want to do, but make the educator's job a little bit easier. And it's been instilled in me and my other classmates throughout our whole time going through this district. The ironic thing about that is that working together is the exact same thing that all the people here that are representing the FFA are complaining about. And not necessarily on the educator standpoint, but the idea that the administration is not willing to work together with our ag teachers and our educators in order to make our students' education more prosperous throughout whatever opportunity that they want to pursue later on in their lives. I know we could be up here talking about every single little circumstance, vans, we could be talking about that. We can talk about different transportation. Even, I know the water polo team back there has some of the similar concerns. But I want to bring to attention something that I was actually awarded while I was here that ended up becoming a problem in the future. Back in October, I was awarded as one of the top 48 students in the state of California to represent California at the National FFA Convention. Out of the 87,000 students, I was one of the 48. There was articles not only written about me in the newspaper, in the local newspaper, but it was on our district website. I was paraded around by not only the administration, but the district itself. And not only a week after this newsletter came out, I was informed that I wasn't allowed to go. Something that I worked for. Something my teacher, Miss Nordstrom, who was just practically fired, someone that pushed me to do something like this, I wasn't even initially allowed to go to. And the only reason I was given why I wasn't allowed to go was the fact that it was out of state and it wasn't educational. It wasn't directly related to our program, which is ironic because it's the National FFA organization that I was going to. There's obstacles that the FFA is facing every single day trying to fight to get students to become prosperous within whatever they want to pursue. For me, it's agriculture. For other students, it might be water polo, but we see a trend that every single person up here is talking about. Administration and higher up officials are not willing to sit down and work together to make everybody's jobs easier and ultimately positively influence every single student that goes through this district. And I really hope you guys hear the words that are being said tonight. I understand that I'm running out of time, but I really hope you guys listen to the words that everybody here is saying, because there's a trend. And you guys implement this and really come back for the FFA, come back with some answers with this next meeting. But for the whole district, come up with tangible results, tangible policies that can actually be implemented to make all of our experiences here better. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dayton. All right, next I have Amanda Dayton.
As you just seen, Kyle Dayton's my son. I'm very proud of him for everything that he's accomplished this year. The one person that is completely behind pushing him is Miss Nordstrom, which was asked to resign as an educator at Jurupa Valley for reasons unknown. She was told that she was going to be pink slipped and that it would be benefit to her to resign. I don't think that's fair, knowing where we were 3 years ago when we had 2 educators in the program forced to resign as well on allegations that were not true, that got acquitted on the state level, and everything else. I do ask the Board of Education to look into this, to find out why these allegations were taken a part of, and find out and have a conclusion where these people were not, where they were falsely accused, and ask them to come back to teach. I'm talking about Mr. Kantner and Mr. Norwood. So, and all the other teachers. It's my understanding also the construction teacher has been asked to leave as well this year. These teachers are, Miss Nordstrom, has been, like I said, behind my son, for the last 2 years. She's the one that's taught him to be able to come up here and speak. I can't speak as well as he has. He's doing very well. He's one of 35 students that are running for state office this year out of, 70,000 students? Is it? Okay. He's going to be at the state conference at the end of this April. I really do like to see you guys all be there to support him on this journey for him. But it has everything to do with Miss Nordstrom pushing him. Miss Nordstrom has done a lot of good things in this program, and she has been shot down, basically by one administrator. And that administrator should be up here explaining why that we can't go places. We can't, where she's not able to do things, where she's being asked to get pink slipped. Is it she's getting pink slipped because the curriculum wasn't right and she fixed it before the first day of school so they could get the FFA funds or get the state incentive grant, the Perkins money? I don't know. Maybe that's the case. Maybe she's overstepped her bounds on things like that. But you know what? If she didn't, this program wouldn't be standing today. And I don't know how it's going to stand next year when you have these teachers that are up there fighting to get things done, and we're not going to have those teachers anymore because they're being asked to leave. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dayton. I have one more Dayton here. I can't read the first name. It starts with an M. Good? All right. Next one I have here, Erendira Lopez. Do you want to need your time too? Okay. Yeah, I really don't know about this one. Last name Llamas. Okay. Jacqueline, right? Okay, sorry.
Good evening. My name is Jacqueline Llamas, and I'm from Jurupa Valley High School. And I would like to donate a paragraph about Mrs. Nordstrom. And I would like to start off by saying how thankful I am for her as a teacher and ag advisor. I can say that to me, she's one of the first teachers who has made me feel like I have a voice and can do anything if I set my mind to it. She never gives up on us and works hard and stays long hours after school to make sure everything can be good for us and to make sure we are receiving the best. I've worked so hard and tried harder in school because Mrs. Nordstrom is always there if we need help or advice on something. I wouldn't be involved in school or part of FFA if it wasn't for Mrs. Nordstrom, who was there pushing me to the best of my abilities. I love being part of the FFA because she is always there reminding me to never stop working hard and to never stop chasing my goals, showing me that if I work hard, I can do anything. I would have also never been able to experience showing animals in fairs if it wasn't for Mrs. Nordstrom, who introduced it to me and who has taught me so much about pigs and working with them. To this day, it is now something I love doing and can see myself doing for a long time. My confidence has built greatly thanks to Ms. Nordstrom and never giving up on me, even when I wanted to give up on what I was doing, but instead sat down with me even if it took long hours and would help me get it done until I had completed what I was working on. So once again, because of that and so much more is why I'm so glad and thankful she is one of our ag advisors/teachers.
Thank you, Jacqueline. All right, next I've got Nicole Scott. Did I get your name right, Scott?
Scott.
Scott, sorry.
Hello, board. My name is Nicole Scott, and I'm from Jurupa Valley. I'm here today to touch upon the issue of our agriculture advisors. Within the span of 4 years, we, the FFA students of Jurupa Valley, have gone through 5 agriculture advisors, each one and every one of them with different perspectives on our chapter, different ways of leadership and commitment. We depend on them to properly teach us the correct guidelines for CDE competitions, guide us through the process of caring for our animals at local fairs, having our monthly chapter meetings and weekly officer meetings. We, the students, depend on them. By our district removing advisors every year, about half of our fellow students fail to fully commit to the new incoming year. Why is that, you ask? We spend countless hours after school, weekends, winter breaks, summer breaks, spring breaks working together to make our chapter the best chapter. The district has came in the way in ruining opportunities for students by destroying all progress made with the past agriculture advisors. I personally know a few students that completely dropped out of the agriculture class because they were heartbroken their old advisor was let go. They had the full potential and committed themselves to show their advisors what they're capable of. Instead of continuing on where they left off, they didn't think it was worth starting all over with a new advisor because of their different perspectives. Because of all of you, we are losing another agriculture teacher. Do you know how heartbreaking that is for all of us? We're going to have to go through and get used to someone else. For my last year, I'm going to have to get used to someone else, someone that I may not even like, and then I won't want to do this program. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Nicole. Miss Melissa Moberly.
Good evening. I'm going to speak quickly so that we can get in 3 minutes. My name is Missy Moberly. I've been in the district for 17 years. I'm currently the PBS coach at my school. I grew up at the district, went to Pedley, Jurupa, and Rubidoux, did my student teaching here. My children attended Jurupa schools. My husband teaches in the Jurupa schools. I'm here because the direction we are headed in as far as student behavior goes is not okay. To be honest, it defies the logic of a reasonable adult, teacher, or parent. I'm not sure you're aware of what's going on. What is going on that is so alarming? I would like to share a couple of analogies with you to help explain the situation. Have you ever been on a freeway and an accident occurs and the stretch of road that should take 20 minutes to travel takes 2 to 3 hours instead? Lanes are blocked, traffic lanes come to a standstill as everyone stops to stare at the traffic accident. That is what's going on in our classrooms on a recurrent occasions. The behavior of a few students is so disruptive and harassing that the whole class is held hostage. When this type of behavior is occurring day in and day out without appropriate interventions, few students are becoming as college and career ready as they should be. Our classrooms can feel like a traffic accident has occurred due to our theoretical adoption of PBIS, Positive Behavior Support System. We have implemented PBIS in response to a new federal guidance encouraging the use of disciplinary measures that provide appropriate interventions and supports rather than exclusionary principles and practices like expulsion and suspension. Sounds good, right? It would be if we were actually doing it. PBIS is a great idea or system if it's actually fully implemented. About 8 years ago, I did my master's degree in administration. One of my assignments was to formulate a school discipline plan. After doing extensive active action research, I developed a plan based on PBIS. This was before PBIS was being implemented in our local schools. I could see the value and compassion in the model. However, for the model to be effective, it must be fully implemented. Sadly, PBIS is made up of 3 tiers of behavior support. Tier 1 is where most students fall, about 80 to 90%. These students are taught school-wide positive behaviors and are supported with positive rewards and encouragements. Tier 2, 5 to 7% of the students who need more targeted support, such as behavior coaching classes in small group settings of 5 to 8 students, 2 to 3 times a week, along with many other forms of interventions and accommodations. Tier 3 is expected to be from 3 to 5% of the population. They require daily behavior follow-up, individual behavior training and coaching, and what is described as wraparound services. 5% may not seem very impactful. However, 5% of 800 students is 40 students. Think of the disorder that 40 students with very disruptive, disrespectful, and threatening behavior can cause across a campus. I have an example here of one student from another teaching professional. The following is one of my many examples of how a lack of Tier 2 has created problems in unsafe environments and bullying of teachers. I've got a list of 6 or 7 interventions the student gets, and yet the student has over 30 entries in visits since February 20th. Day after day, offensive language that I couldn't say here, directed at teachers, language you wouldn't want to hear, directed at students, refusals, threats, disruption. I hesitate to use the actual language. And what happens in every one of the student has had 4 after-school detentions. That's it. Counseled is what it says on visits. The frequency and scope of these behaviors requires a targeted and timely response. Behavior is hard to change. We know that. Nevertheless, as in the case of this student, without a Tier 2 or Tier 3 in place, there is no effectual behavior supports or consequences in place that will change or modify the behaviors. That's the traffic accident. When the accident occurs, hopefully help arrives. The highway patrol, the ambulance, the tow truck, the victims of the accident get the traffic flowing again. We need help. We need to actually implement PBIS, not just claim that we are. We need money, time, and staff to do the job that needs to be done. To implement PBIS in an effective manner, we need a full-time qualified staff at each site to examine data, follow and track Tier 2 and Tier 3 students. We need the resources to provide the services, small group, and individual behavior training these students need. Changing behavior is hard, but it won't change based on wishful thinking. I have one last analogy to leave you with. You're not feeling well, so you go to the doctor, and he runs tests on you, and he says you have cancer. You say, oh no, what is the plan? He gives you a bottle of vitamin C, and says, here, take this. Stay hopeful. What? Are you crazy? What about chemo, radiation? Well, we don't have that available. Let's just hope for the best and talk about vitamin C working. Would you accept that for an answer? We don't either. We need to stop saying we're doing PBIS and actually do it. Behavior is difficult, messy, and hard to change, but wishful thinking and talking about it alone won't change it. We need a real Tier 2 and Tier 3 behavior supports, consequences, district matrices listing consequences of various violations. This cannot be accomplished without more staff and resources. There is not a warm body on campus that concurrently has the time above all of their ever-growing regular duties to undertake the challenging and colossal task of forming and executing an effective Tier 2 and Tier 3 behavior intervention supports. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Moberly. Thank you to all the speakers. I have no more cards here. Anyone else wishing to address the board tonight? Okay. So then we'll move on. Thank you. Mr. Dayton, we have a board member committee reports at the end, and if board members wish to make any comments at that time, they may do so. So on to, before we get started here with the action session, I'd like to ask the board to refresh their systems here so that we can vote. Okay, sorry, I got ahead of myself there. We're on number 5, administrative reports and written communications. First one, 5A, California Standards, LCAP Implementation Report. Mr. Dabrowski.
Thank you. Tonight I'm going to talk for a few minutes about career technical education and just give you a little update as to what's happening in our district, since that's an area of lots of growth recently. So just to begin, and you should have this presentation in your hands. I'll wait while she's passing that out. In terms of like what is career technical education, as you all know, it's a program of study that involves a multi-year sequence of courses that integrates both the core academics and technical and occupational knowledge to provide students with a pathway to either post-secondary education or a career or both. The key is the combination of both technical and academic knowledge. It gives students real-world experience, and that translates into industry credibility. So in Jurupa, we fund our CTE programs through a combination of funding, LCAP, the Career Technical Education Incentive Grant, or CTEIG, and then federally received the Perkins Grant, which we've received for many years. There are 15 California industry sectors, and in our high schools, we have pathways in 12 of those 15 sectors at this time. Our high schools are serving over 3,100 students in CTE programs this year, and in our adult education programs, we have programs in 6 California industry sectors. Later on, I'll talk about how that's changed over the last several years. So just to give you a brief overview of what we have at our different high schools and adult education, starting with Jurupa Valley, we have agri-science focused on sustainable agriculture, design, visual, and media arts focused on technical design, residential and commercial construction focused on green building, engineering design focused on the engineering process, software and systems development focused on computer science and Microsoft certification, product innovation and design focused on applied technology, and then automotive diagnostics and repair, which focuses on services of alternative fuel and diesel vehicles. These pathways all support the STEAM vision for the school. They're designed to build upon the learnings and experiences that our Del Sol Academy students will bring to the table as they begin entering Jurupa Valley High School, as well as making great use of our new Innovation Center that you've all seen that we're very excited about. We currently have 12 CTE courses that are A through G eligible, and 2 articulated courses, meaning that we've articulated with a local college so that when a student completes that JUSD course, they'll be given college credit for that course by that local college. We also have 2 more submitted for review, so that's in the process to become articulated. And we're going to talk a little bit later, and we talked at the last meeting about the CCAP agreement. That's the agreement in place with Norco College for next year to begin offering Norco College courses on our high school campus as well. And that'll be in the area of manufacturing and technical design. Moving on alphabetically, we go to Nueva Vista. And there we have an operations and logistics pathway focused on warehouse operations and supply chain, which is new this school year, and it's one of only 2 programs of its type in Riverside County. And we've established an industry partnership with Costco, where our students who are in that pathway can receive some real-world experience and knowledge of how those operations work in the Costco system. Moving to Patriot, we have Design, Visual, and Media Arts, focused on commercial art and marketing, Fashion Design and Merchandising, focused on design and selling items in the student store, Patient Care, focusing on sports medicine and emergency medicine, Software and Systems Development, focused on computer science, Professional Sales, focused on retail operations and management, and Public Safety, focused on crime scene investigation and homeland security. At Patriot, we have 12 A through G courses. We have 2 advanced placement courses that are part of our CTE programs. We have 5 articulated courses with local colleges and 1 additional that's submitted and going through the process. And we have multiple pathways that support both the emergency response and in marketing. Moving to Rubidoux, we have animal science focused on animal care and breeding and horsemanship, ornamental horticulture, design, visual, and media arts focusing on broadcasting, patient care focusing on the medical assistant program, food service and hospitality focused on restaurant operations and management, and then auto structural repair and refinishing focused on auto body repair. And there we have 14 A through G courses. We have 6 articulated courses plus 2 additionally submitted and in the process. It also is the first course in Riverside County that was able to be articulated with San Bernardino Valley College, so we're proud of that. In our adult education programs, in addition to GED or high school diploma ELD classes, our adult school also offers business computing, forklift operator, medical assistant, pharmacy technician. We will be offering phlebotomy. We're just in the process of hiring a teacher to teach that pathway. Welding, security guard certification, and HVAC. So there are a lot of options for our adults. Now, just to compare where we've been to where we are now, this is kind of exciting. When you look at 2015-16, we offered 13 different pathways, and now as of this year, we're offering 19 different pathways. We had in 2015-16 11 courses that were certified for A through G, and now we have 36. So we've more than tripled that number. We had 6 articulated courses in 2015-16, and now we have 11 plus 3 more on the way. So soon we'll be up to 14. We didn't have any AP courses at the time, and now we have 2. And then we had 1 adult school program, and now we have 6. So that's just a really quick overview of the different courses that we have going on in CTE at our high schools and adult school. I want to invite you to our District CTE Showcase, which is on April 26th from 5 to 8 in the Jurupa Valley High School gym. We'll have examples of the pathways from all schools, including the adult school, and many of our post-secondary education partners will be present as well. So it promises to be a great evening. We'd love to see any of you there that could make it. And that's CTE in Jurupa in a quick nutshell.
Thank you, Mr. Dabrowski. Any questions, comments?
Yes, I do. What are the AP classes? Why do we only have 2 out of our 3 high schools?
Well, and we have lots of AP classes at each of our high schools. It's just that only the 2 in computer science actually fall under in the CTE pathways.
Okay, which ones are they?
I think Mrs. Pace may be able to answer that for me.
Okay,
thank you, Mrs. Pace.
Any other questions, comments? Ms. Bradford?
Does the district's JADE program fall under any of these?
The district's, I'm sorry?
JADE, or does that go under special education?
Oh, the Transition Partnership Program? It does not. We don't receive any computer or career technical education funds for that program.
That's separate. Okay, thank you.
I have a question. For marketing purposes, for us to market our programs, our CT programs in our district, is the funding for that marketing have to come from the sources that you also mentioned?
No, not necessarily. Although the major source, LCAP, is, I mean, that's the bulk of our funding source anyways. That's our state funding, so
So if we wanted to do marketing, something like this to share with the public, that's doable with the LCAP funding?
Absolutely, and we are marketing many of our programs. We market them individually when one is going on, but we've been doing quite a bit of marketing on our programs. Yeah.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is more of kind of like a showcase like this, like an overall of every school and what we're offering, because I don't think we have that, right?
Well, Dr. Hanson, maybe you can speak to that really quickly. I think one of the things that we do is that all of our high school registration processes, so to all of our parents, they are all separated in pathways. And so while they're not all CTE pathways, all of our incoming students and families see the pathways that are offered at the different high schools. I'm not aware of any CTE district-wide marketing that we're doing at this moment.
We are pushing some of that out, and I'll go over that in my presentation today, but a lot of it has to do with the advertisement of those programs through the registration process, as well as recognition and when those programs come to fruition. For example, in the adult ed program, our medical assistance program, they had their first graduation, and pushing that information out and then continuing to recruit for programs like that.
Thank you.
Okay, anybody else? I just want to thank you, Mr. Broski, and thank you, Ms. Pace, for all the hard work. I see we've made lots of improvements over the past couple of years, and so thank you all for your team and your teams for this great report and for the great progress. And yes, we'll be there on the 26th. I'll try to be there for sure. 5 to 8. It's actually on the presentation too, on the last page, I think. The last page, so. All right. Item 5B, review 2018 graduation ceremony assignments. Mr. Dabrowski.
Thank you. You have in your materials the graduation chart, which includes the assignments and designations for the presentation of diplomas. It's information.
Okay, thank you. Item 5C, communications update. Dr. Hanson.
So I wanted to give an update on some of the things that have taken place in the communications department, so to speak, review the data for this year and show progress in our outreach, as well as bring you up to speed on some of the new developments that have taken place in order to increase that outreach and increase that communication throughout the district. So we've published over 100 original stories since 2016. A lot of those stories are found on the website and will be now included in our newsletter that I'll go over later, The Horizon. A lot of increased support and engagement, expanded social media reach through this process. Local media, so we've also, a lot of our stories, when possible and when we submit them to outside media agencies, the Press Enterprise, and there's been many times where they've picked up our stories and published those stories as well in the local media. We continue to push out notifications, both emergency notifications in real time, as well as upcoming events and other notifications that might be necessary for parents in our community to be informed on, so that they might attend various functions where they're able to provide input and learn more about the programs that we have, including our career and technical education programs. So this is just a graph to kind of show the increase in our reach in various areas of social media. Our Facebook followers has increased 1,500%, 1,500%, up 301%, or sorry, nearing 301% in over 2 years. Our top post reached almost 14,000 people. This is our Twitter following. So we started Twitter a little bit later, but again, you can see the steep increase in followers that we've had on our social media outlets. And I should bring up, there's also, this is district social media, but there's also other departments that post and share information specific to their area of expertise. PICO, the Planning and Development Department, Technology and Career and Technical Education, a variety of different programs or divisions also put out information specific to their division. So some of the things that we've recently added that I'd like to share with the board is, first of all, we've added a communications page on the website. I'll walk you through what that page looks like. So on the left-hand side, you'll see a navigation bar with topics. And there's 6 topics there that we kind of looked at. All the different things that take place in the district can really fit in one of those topics. So if an outside user would like to know what's going on with academics or parent engagement, they can click on that tab and find a variety of different stories and events that have taken place in those given areas. The next tab below is a tab labeled The Horizon. Luckily I have good eyesight. I didn't print out the copy for myself. The Horizon, and I believe the first tab, is starting to get blurry to me, but is the latest edition. The second tab, if you want to click on that, the second tab is where people can sign up for the subscription to the Horizon, our digital newsletter. So they input their information there, and they'll automatically receive that newsletter on a monthly basis. And then the tab below is an area where outside users can submit stories. So obviously there's a lot of things that take place throughout the district. Specifically at school sites, sometimes there's events that a school site is doing specifically that we don't necessarily hear about. This is an opportunity for outside or people from the school communities and the various school communities to also submit stories to be published on the Horizon. So that's that tab. The next tab is District Initiatives, which show a tab showing the LCAP as well as Measure EE. So if we clicked on Measure EE, wanted to get information on that initiative, if you scroll down, it shows a list of all the different schools and what's taken place at their schools. So maybe you could click on Pedley Elementary, for example. Pedley Elementary isn't a school that's included in the major modernization or construction, but when you click on it, there's a lot of projects that have taken place for that school. So they've received a new playground, wireless infrastructure, security gates have been installed there, a new energy efficient transformer. So sometimes when a school isn't necessarily slated for major modernization or construction, there are still other projects that have been supported by Measure EE. And so individuals can click on their school site and see how Measure EE dollars have affected their school. We also have a section for Employees of the Year, certificated and classified. Those will update yearly as we get new Employees of the Year to be able to highlight our wonderful staff throughout the district in both the classified and certificated ranks. And then lastly, we have a Community Partners tab. We have a list of some of the community partners that we have out there, and they're able to, so if we click on, for example, Jurupa Area Recreation Parks District, takes you to their website, and an individual might be able to click on their information and be able to access some of those things that are taking place in the community as well. So we're a partner in our community. We see ourselves as a hub for our community, and so we've partnered with those organizations as well and allow them to be on our site to be able to kind of stretch that outreach as well. And then lastly, if you scroll down just a little bit, you see the tweets and the Facebook scrolling on the left, and then some of the stories based on the topics that are provided. So if you click on View All News on the very first one on academics up to the right-hand side, across from View All News, right there. So it shows 2 stories, but then when you click on View All News, it'll show all the stories underneath that particular topic that will be submitted in the future and that have been submitted. Okay, so we can go back to the next slide. And then the other thing that we've implemented, I'm sure you're all aware of and are receiving, is the Horizon, which is a digital newsletter that is published on a monthly basis. So in just the last month, we're up to over 3,000 subscriptions to that newsletter. Individuals have the opportunity to unsubscribe if they'd like, but right now that's where we're at. We're looking and trying to increase that number as the word of mouth gets out there and as people navigate.
Mrs. Benson and her staff are beginning the process of closing the financial records for the 2017-2018 fiscal year, if you can believe that. We're already here, coming towards the end. Once all revenues and expenditures are accrued, staff may need to process transfers in various funds to balance accounts. No additional expenditures would be involved in any of those transfers. However, an account budget with a negative balance may be revised by transferring an appropriate expenditure to an account that has a positive balance, which would allow the district to meet all the required legal obligations. So administration recommends the board adopt resolution number 2018/45, resolution for year-end budget transfer revisions.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Chard, second by Mr. Mendez. Any questions or comments? Thank you, Ms. Benson, everyone on the team, for all your hard work there. Let's call for the vote. Motion passes 5-0. Item G, adopt resolution number 2018/46, amended resolution of the Board of Education of the Jurupa Unified School District to authorize delegating authority to superintendent or designees. Mrs. Ford.
Thank you. At the February 20th board meeting, the board adopted resolution number 2018/41, delegating authority to the superintendent or designees to streamline various district operations. Subsequent to the board approving that, legal counsel recommended that we add some additional language to that resolution to include professional and/or consultant service agreements in accordance with Government Code 53060. So the amended resolution clarifies this intent, leaving the rest of the resolution as it originally was adopted. Any action taken under the delegation must be brought back to the board for ratification. So anything that, any action taken would actually come to the board. So you would see all professional services, all contracts. At this time, administration recommends the board adopt resolution number 2018/46, amended resolution of the Board of Education of the Jurupa Unified School District to authorize delegating authority to superintendent or designees.
Thank you. Motion by Ms. Ortega.
Second.
That was Ms. Ortega, right? Yes. Okay. Second by Ms. Chard. Any questions or comments?
Yes, I have a question, Ms. Ford. These revisions and or additions and modifications, additions that need to be made, is that because of new requirements that were recently?
It wasn't. We actually, initially, when we had worked with legal, we believed that under the contract, the umbrella of the contracts, it would cover those professional services as well, but it didn't. So legal counsel suggested that we bring it back to the board and make sure that we have that as a separate item.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments? And as you mentioned, just to clarify, Mrs. Ford, so any of those expenditures or anything, any actions, the board will see those on?
Yes, all of them must come to the board.
Okay, thank you. All right, let's call for the vote. Motion passes 5-0. Item H, adopt resolution number 2018/47, resolution of the Board of Education of the Jurupa Unified School District authorizing the amendment of the school facilities mitigation agreement for the school district's community facilities district number 7 and providing for other matters related thereto. Mrs. Ford.
Thank you. At the school district's finance team, staff worked with the school district's finance team, which includes Cooperative Strategies and Nixon Peabody, to prepare documentation to amend the mitigation agreement for CFD number 7. And this is to reflect a change in circumstances. This CFD was created back in 2005, initially formed back in 2005, but during the recession, the development didn't build out. So at this point, we do have a developer, and they have come to us to start that process. And that led to a delay in residential development of the property. And as a result, the receipt of funding for the parks is very low compared to what it will cost for the parks. So the amendment provides for an updated calculation of amounts to be paid to the developer, to be paid from the developer to JRARPD for improvements, and the resolution approves the form of amending the mitigation agreement. So basically what we did was we looked at what the current costs would be and then worked with the developer to mitigate a portion of that. We felt that was a fair to do to bring the development in. We want to be very relationship oriented with our developers that are here in the area. We didn't feel that we needed to take on the entire amount. So we actually came to a negotiated an agreement that we would split that difference between what it would have been and back in 2005 and what the actual costs were now. So we're still, because at that time our mitigation fees were actually very high. Our level developer fees were higher than they are now. So we're actually getting quite a bit of surplus from this when we issue as well. So the district is still in a very good position. So administration would recommend that the board adopt resolution number 2018/47.
Thank you.
Move to approve.
Motion by Mrs. Chard,
Second.
second by Ms. Ortega. Any other questions or comments? Ms. Bradford.
Are you saying that we held up the developer's building process?
No, but when the developers that have now come in, when they looked at what it will take to actually put the park elements in place, the common areas, it's going to be significantly more than what was originally in the mitigation agreement in 2005. But at the same time, we will actually get a significant amount of proceeds above what we anticipated we would receive from that. So we were willing to negotiate a portion of that with the developers. I was a bit generous, but not entirely generous.
Yes, thank you, Mrs. Ford. Anybody else?
Just that it is good to hear that both sides are willing to work and together for the benefit, for the mutual benefit, in essence, of both parties, and that's really always a good thing.
And they were very appreciative.
Well, thank you
Very
for
much.
your role in the administration here to work on that for us. Thank you.
And also, Mrs. Ford, is a benefit for the homeowners as well, a little bit there. Maybe.
I don't think it really will change much for the homeowners, but it is a benefit overall, just that they're going to be able to put in all the park areas that they anticipated in the original plans.
Okay.
Which developer was it?
D.R. Horton.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. Let's call for the vote then. Motion passes 5-0. Item I, adopt resolution number 2018 2018/48, resolution of the Board of Education of the Jurupa Unified School District approving execution of an amendment to school facilities funding and mitigation agreement and option to purchase school site for the school district's community facilities district number 8. Mrs. Ford.
Thank you. Again, working with the finance team, Cooperative Strategies, and Nixon Peabody, they've prepared documentation to amend mitigation agreement for CFD number 8. This change would actually be to put in wording that allows us to use the level 1 fees. So we've, in the past, in our mitigation agreements, they've used the level 2 fees, and it's specifically called those out, which are the developer level 2 fees. By adding this additional language, we'll be able to make the determination if we need to use level 1 fees, because that's the fees that we're currently assessing, or would we need to use the level 2 fees. So all the change is just allowing us to use those level 1 fees. So administration recommends the board adopt resolution number 2018/48, resolution of the Board of Education of the Jurupa Unified School District approving execution of an amendment to school facilities funding and mitigation agreement and option to purchase school site for the school district's community facilities district number 8.
Move to approve.
Motion by Mr. Mendez. Second by Ms. Bradford. Any questions or comments? No? Okay, let's call for the vote then. Motion carries 5-0. Item J, adopt resolution number 2018/49, resolution of the Board of Education of the Jurupa Unified School District approving execution of an amendment to school facilities funding and mitigation agreement for the school district's community facilities district number 18. Mrs. Ford.
And this is the same as what we just did for CFD number 8, but this is now for CFD number 18, which is the Frontier Community CFD. So again, allowing us to be able to amend the agreement so that we could actually levy level 1 fees if we needed to do so. So administration recommends the board adopt resolution number 2018/49.
Thank you, Mrs. Ford.
Move to approve.
Motion by Mrs. Chard. Second by Mrs. Bradford. Any questions or comments? Okay, let's call for the vote, please. Motion passes 5-0. Item K, adopt resolution number 2018/50, resolution of the Board of Education of the Jurupa Unified School District approving execution of an amendment to school facilities funding and mitigation agreement for the school district's community facilities district number 11, improvement area B. Mrs. Ford.
And this is again the same. So this would be an amendment to allow us to levy level 1 fees and if the need arises to do so. Administration is recommending the board adopt resolution number 2018/50.
Move for approval.
Motion by Mr. Mendez.
Second.
Second by Mrs. Chard. Any questions or comments? Okay, let's call for the vote, please. Motion passes 5-0. Adopt resolution number 2018/51. Resolution of the Board of Education of the Jurupa Unified School District approving execution of an amendment to school facilities funding and mitigation agreement for the school district's community facilities district number 17. Mrs. Ford.
And this is the same as the others. This is for CFD number 17, and that's the Lennar community. So administration recommends the board adopt resolution number 2018/51.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Bradford, second by Ms. Ortega. Any questions or comments? Okay, let's call for the vote, please. Motion passes 5-0. Okay, item M. Adopt resolution number 2018/52. Resolution of the Board of Education of the Jurupa Unified School District authorizing the issuance of not to exceed $4 million aggregate principal amount of Jurupa Unified School District Community Facilities District number 7 special tax bonds 2018 Series A, prescribing the terms thereof, approving various financing documents, and providing for other matters related thereto. Mrs. Ford.
This one is different. Administration has worked with the district's finance team to prepare documentation allowing the district to issue, on behalf of Community Facilities District Number 7, a series of special tax bonds. The CFD Number 7 bonds will be issued under the Melrose Community Facilities Act of 1982, and the total proceeds to all agencies is estimated to be $4 million. The district's facility proceeds of the $4 million is approximately $2.6 million, and that will be used towards improving and equipping schools within the boundary area of the CFD. This resolution also approves the form of 4 additional documents: a fiscal agent agreement between the district and Zion's Bank, a bond purchase agreement between the district and the underwriter, which is Stiefel, a preliminary official statement with an attached continuing disclosure agreement, which is the disclosure document that the underwriter uses when they market the CFD 7 bonds. So administration does recommend the board adopt resolution number 2018/52, resolution of the Board of Education authorizing the issuance of not to exceed $4 million aggregate principal amount of Jurupa Unified School District Community Facilities District Number 7 Special Tax Bonds 2018 Series A.
Move to approve.
Thank you, Ms. Ford. Motion by Ms. Chard, second by Mrs. Bradford. Any questions or comments? All right, let's call for the vote, please. Motion passes 5-0. Item N, adopt resolution number 2018/53, resolution of the Board of Education of the Jurupa Unified School District authorizing the issuance of not to exceed $11 million aggregate principal amount of Jurupa Unified School District Community Facilities District Number 8 special tax bonds 2018 Series A, prescribing the terms thereof, approving various financing documents, and providing for other matters related thereto. Mrs. Ford.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Chard, second by Ms. Ortega. Any additional comments or questions?
I just want to say that's a lot of reading, and we have it in front of us, and we already have read it. So unless someone requests her continue that, that's a lot of reading.
Thank you, Ms. Chard. Okay, well, I already read it, so if no other questions or comments, we'll call for the vote, please.
No, you need to at least get it out there.
Motion carries 5-0. Item O, approved personnel matters. O1, approved job description and salary range for Director of Communications and Public Relations. Mrs. Elzick.
Thank you. Due to vast changes of media and communication in recent years, the district has increasingly engaged in planned and strategic communications in order to advance the educational mission of the district. and to foster productive relationships with students, parents, employees, and the broader community. It has become necessary to develop a job classification, the Director of Communication and Public Relations, to direct, plan, and coordinate all of the district's communications and public relation efforts in order to ensure that these efforts are effective and responsive to the district's stakeholders and the community. The Director of Communication and Public Relations will be responsible for administering the district's strategic communications, public relations program, including coordinating media, community, and public relations, providing crisis communications, leading branding, publication, and marketing efforts, managing the district's presence on social media and other online and digital communication, and serving in other related activities which are outlined in this job description. Administration recommends establishing the classified management position at range 13 of the management leadership team classified employee salary schedule. The job description and salary range are included in the supporting documents, and administration recommends the board approve the job description and establish the position of Director of Communication and Public Relations. Administration further recommends that the board approve the salary schedule at range 13 of the management leadership team classified employees.
Thank you, Mrs. Elzig.
Thank you.
So move.
Motion by Mr. Ortega,
Second.
second by Mrs. Chard. Any questions or comments?
Yes, I have a comment, if I may.
Mr. Mendez?
We had a similar position back in my previous life, well, actually a position of not quite the same job description. I guess my comment really is that this is very important to have in this day and age, and I'm happy to see this before the board for approval. Definitely times have changed, and the world has gotten much more complex than it used to be, particularly in this area of our district. And so it's an important position that we need, and I think it's going to do us well, serve us well to have this, to respond more appropriately to the needs that are out there for interaction in the social media world and other means of communication. So thank you very much for this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments? I also want to agree with Mr. Mendez, Mrs. Elzig, and the team. I think this fits in nicely with the marketing strategy, Dr. Everybody here on the team, and it's be a really good way to get out there and be able to communicate to the public, all the great programs within the district here. So, thank you for that. So, let's call for the vote, please.
If I may ask another question, in the job description, it talks about responding to emergency type situations, and of course we know what that's been like across the nation here in the last few years and recently. Who's this person directly going to be working with in the district in terms of supervision or any other communication with the staff in the district that's at decision-making level, like the ones that we have here in front of us today? What will that sort of look like?
So this person will be, I can't remember his whole title, but will be reporting to Dr. Hansen, who will also be working on the district disaster plan. So it will, and that's what he's been doing the past couple of weeks. We just recently transferred that aspect because we see communications, disaster planning, and also, I don't know what to call it, but there's sort of that media disaster stuff when it's not really a disaster, but it gets out in the media. And I'm not talking about social media, but something gets out in the press. We have to issue press releases and really setting up protocols, templates, so we can respond quickly and get information out to multiple media sources. We've had to do that in the past, and frankly, it's cabinet sitting together, wording out what we're going to send to the Washington Post or something, because it's gotten blown way out of proportion. So it'll be a very tight unit that works. Really continuing our efforts with Learning Without Limits and how we communicate that with the community, but also integrating all of those with how we react with the press, how we react to things that, and when I say react, that happen immediately out of our control, which is, I think, what you were asking.
Yes, thank you.
I have a question. Dr. Hansen, what kind of discussion did you have regarding calling this a public information officer instead of the title you selected.
Really what we looked at was the titles that are out there. They're kind of interchangeable throughout the state, this position. And so it aligned better with some of our current job titles. So that's really how it came about.
I might add to that that we've looked at a number of districts where the only face that appears to the public is the public information officer, and that's not our style around here. We get any of cabinet members in the middle of incidents, and we are the ones that should really be responding to the press. So I think the press tends to look at a public, and when I say the press, I'm using the term broadly,
Yeah, I understand.
as a public information officer, as a spokesperson. This person would not be the spokesperson for the district. We would continue with board policy the way it's written. It would be the board president when appropriate, or myself, or then referred to the appropriate person on the ground in the district. They would rarely, if ever, be the actual person. So that was also a part of, at least my thinking. Maybe nobody got that, but apparently it got in there.
I would just like to commend the staff and thank them for their consideration and really thoughtfulness that's been put behind this to really put it the way it's going to be the most effective, I think, for our district. And it's I'm looking forward to having it in place. Thank you.
All right, well, let's call for the vote. Motion passes 5-0. Item O2, adopt revised 2018/2019 certificated bargaining unit members' work year schedules. Mrs. Zelzig.
Thank you. At the March 12, 2008 meeting, the board adopted the 2018-19 employee work schedules. At this time, we are bringing it back. We had some minor revisions that we looked at in terms of guidance coordinators and counselors. I think this is a good example of the collaboration that we have with NEA Jurupa. We were meeting with a committee, and the guidance coordinators and counselors shared that their extended work year, when the days are added to the end of the year, that's not when they're most useful. That they would rather have 2 or 3 days at the end of the school year just to get summer school going, then have their break, and then come back for registration, and they're better able. That's their crunch time, where they need the days more. So we've just adjusted the days in a way that was recommended, and we agree with the recommendation from those that are working the position.
Thank you. Move to approve.
Second.
Second by Ms. Ortega. Any questions or comments? Got me on that, right? Okay. Okay. Well, let's call for the vote, please. Motion carries 5-0. Last item for tonight. Item P, board member committee reports. Mrs. Chard.
Thank you, Mr. Garcia. I don't have any committee reports to report, but I would like to say that I appreciate the people who have come tonight and spoken on behalf of our staff, their students, their children, their concerns in the district. The board is here to hear what you have to say, and we do take things into consideration, but our hands are tied in some cases. We listen, we make recommendations, but we do not make the final decisions. I know that we will all be asking questions to the appropriate departments to see if we can get a better understanding of what's going on. But the final answer will have to come from the administration as opposed to the board. And thank you. I want to thank the administrators who have worked so hard for all of these things that we've been approving here. Everything has been is a lot of work, and I know that people think that we don't appreciate the teachers, and we do, and we listen to them. My son's a teacher. I listen to him. I listen to what he's saying. But as I said, I cannot. There are things that have to be done a certain way. There are things that have to be discussed a certain way, and we are here to listen and to give a different viewpoint. Maybe we can put some light in, shed some light on what's going on, like things we ask, or give direction that way. So you won't be hearing an answer from the board, but like I said, we will be asking some questions. And like I said, I do appreciate everyone for coming. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Chard. Mrs. Bradford.
Well, those of you who know me would know that I always have an opinion. It's okay for you to laugh. I agree with Mrs. Chard, and it breaks my heart to have anybody think that I am not interested in the best interests of children and teachers in this district. Moving right along, we've got a career technical education meeting coming up, and I really like being on that committee, so thank you for assigning it to me. I see it as another way of preparing our students for appropriate careers for their life and making a good match, and I like what this district and Mrs. Pace is doing about it. I'm also delighted with my assignments for graduation, and I cannot wait to stand on the stage for a couple of hours and for the schools I'm assigned and hand out certificates and tell the students how proud I am of them. I asked for Nueva Vista High School because I really want to encourage them. And then I don't know who handed us the Child Abuse Month awareness bracelets. Was it anybody in the audience? Was it you, Denise? Oh, thank you, Mrs. Ford. Anyways, it says that April is Child Abuse Prevention Month. Got little pins and a wristband. And I think that people, and I had a young lady I call my daughter who adopted me, who is friends with my son at Jurupa Middle School. I didn't find out until later that her earliest memory was having a cast on her arm because her mother had thrown her against the wall. And why it took so long for me to find out about that. I think, why didn't her dad do something? Why didn't her aunt do something? So you know, if you see something, we're mandated reporters. And that's all for right now.
Thank you, Mrs. Bradford. Mr. Mendez.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would also like to echo my colleagues' comments in regards to the speakers that come before the board. We truly do listen, and we really do take into consideration what is stated here in front of us as a board. We have a specified role by law that we need to honor and operate by, and that's how we function as a board. And it's intentionally done in that manner by law, so that administration has certain responsibilities that we don't impede upon, and in turn we have certain responsibilities that administration does not, impede on that side of the equation as well too. It's all part of the balances that our democratic system has in place for us to be able to take considerations, weigh them, investigate them, look into them, and make appropriate decisions as a board within our frame of responsibilities designated under the required legal rights, as well as by our operating procedures and regulations that we have as a board to operate by. So, but definitely, we do listen, we do care, again, about our community, our students, and our teachers. My boys all grew up here. They went to our schools here. I've been involved with this district for 30 years now, and to me, this is home, and I want this to be a good community, a good district, and the better that we can make it as partners in the education of our students and in supporting our staff across the board. So classified and certificated, to everyone do their job as a team to make sure that what we have before us for our students is the best we can possibly do for them. So thank you for your comments. I also wanted to mention that on March 13th to the 15th, the School Readiness Program, which is located across from Mission Middle School, it's a pre-K school program, and it's funded through a grant, and so we have a contract that we need to also operate that program on certain guidelines and regulations and quality of educational offerings for the students. They went through a review during that period of time, the 13th to the 15th, by the Riverside County Office of Education. And the team presented their findings on the 15th, the last day that they were there. And they were really very complimentary of the staff of how they have progressed in really making that a quality program. And when they did the actual investigation of all the requirements that they had to fulfill to operate that program, they had them scored on the scale of 0 to 100%, and most of or all of them I think were over 90% or higher. So I really would like to commend the staff there for the preparation and the work they have done over the last year or so to really have a good quality program for our students there in that in that area of our educational programs. The recommendations were really something that the staff was already in the process of doing, and were very much in agreement with what needed to be done to move the program forward. And one of the speakers, one of the people that was reviewing the program, in closing, he said, many of the recommendations that are being done is not so much that this program is lacking in any aspect, it's to take the program to the next level and make it an exemplary program for the region. So I think the staff is to be commended for their work and in that effort and making it such an exciting result. And then just a couple of other minor comments here. I would like to commend our superintendent for his honor by the Association of California School Administrators. It's quite an honor. I've always said that we have a great superintendent here in our district. And he must have multiple clones running around because he seems to be everywhere in the schools, at different events, at different committees, representing us as a district, at both local organizations as well as, and including here in our own local community, and also at state level organizations such as AXA, and then even national organizations. So he is a person that tirelessly works for the benefit of our staff, our employees, and our schools and our students. So I am very proud and very pleased that we are honored as a district to have him receive that award that he received from AXA recently here. So congratulations, Mr. Duchamp. And the last thing I want to say is that in just kind of coming back a full circle, my opening quote for the evening was, preservation of one's own culture does not require contempt or disrespect for other cultures. I actually had the occasion to hear Cesar Chavez speak personally back in my younger days as a college student. And to this day, it made a great impact in my life, hearing him personally, speak, to this day I still, matter of fact, those of you that know that I do some auditions, with my wife that got me into this thing. I was called recently to recall on a speech that had an impact in my life, and I used that speech as part of my audition for that day. I didn't get the role, but I got good comments from my effort. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mendez. Ms. Ortega.
So I also want to congratulate Mr. Duchamp for your recognition and all the investments that you've done to our community, not only our district, but the entire Jurupa Valley. So well deserved. Thank you very much. And congratulations. This year I will be sitting on the CTE committee. I'm very excited because many months ago, up till now, we've been meeting, myself and other school board members in the Riverside area have been meeting with RCC to see how we as also board members can you know, push a little bit forward to what CTE is in our schools, in our districts, and why not even county. So what has been before us today is just, you know, again, a collaboration of work that many people have done together. Not only one person, but many people that collaborate together will move forward. Also, Child Abuse Prevention Month for me, prior to what I'm doing work now in the hospital, many of you know that I used to go to homes and work with mothers, and that was actually it. I was working with these families to create a foundation for them to not abuse their kids and neglect, and it was such a rewarding position and platform that I was given, so much that alongside, so the sister organization of child abuse prevention is Healthy Families America, and that we had to go through a rigorous accreditation process, and you know, the organization I was working for the past 5 years tried to do it, and they gave me the project, and in a little bit of 6 months we were able to accredit that. And here in Riverside County and San Bernardino County, we were the only ones in Southern California that were accredited, and that shows that, you know, California and our area is deeply embedded in what child abuse, and many families, and when I would get to speak, they didn't know. They were shocked. They're like, wow, right now still we have a lot of child abuse, and unfortunately we do. So each, again, one of us plays a huge role for that not to happen. And lastly, I write notes when there's comments, and today I wrote a lot of notes because there was obviously a lot of comments. And like my colleagues, I want to say that we do take your comments in consideration, and especially when students come up and talk, and very passionately. We had a couple students that came up here and talked, and to them I apologize because I don't have the answers, and I was not aware of many concerns of them. And me as their trustee, I have to open up that window of them being able to trust me, alongside with many of my constituents that voted for me, and not only listening but also a voice when students and parents and our community needs a voice. Me running for this position here, this platform that I also been given, I made an oath to do that. So we have many questions, and we may not have all the answers, but again, we take everything in consideration, and especially when one of the students said there's a trend. For me, that stuck out the most. And as a business background person, and I took many classes on trends and what they are, I really want to look into this trend that our students are making us aware of that possibly we don't know of. So that with that, I conclude my reports. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ortega. I just want to echo my colleagues up here with their comments with respect to all the programs, all the students that were here tonight. And I commend those students for coming out. I mean, it's tough to sit up in front of the board, in front of a full room of people. And I mean, when we walk out sometimes, I don't know, I get a little nervous, see a room full of people. And so I'm glad to see them and parents and other community members, teachers, coming up and speaking in front of the board to give us your opinions. And unfortunately, sometimes, you know, we make decisions that not everyone's happy with. And it's not because we don't care. It's just because, you know, we set an overall direction and policies to you know, all of us as a governance team up here to bring our district into the future. And so we look at that bigger picture, and when it comes to personnel matters, you know, anyone who's a teacher or a student. Those matters are confidential, and we don't share information about students or teachers or anyone because everyone has the right to their privacy. So all I'm going to say on that. But we do listen to everybody's comments, and we do care. Obviously, I've said many times that I'm really proud of this board here. We serve with unity and purpose, and we're here for the students, which is why we should be here. And we each keep them in mind in all the decisions that we make. And finally, I'd like to congratulate again Mr. Deshawn for his AXA award. That was very, very well deserved. And not only as a superintendent, but I've also known Mr. Deshawn for about 10, 12 years maybe, and had the opportunity to serve alongside him with the Lions Club, Rotary, and other areas. And I can just say he's truly a man of character and integrity, and I really appreciate being able to serve alongside you here in the district and in the community. And any additional comments you'd like to make?
Actually, thank you to the board for the support. Much of that award is about representing the district in various places and having a board recognize how important it is to be in Sacramento or Washington or at the table just to speak on behalf of our students. So thank you.
All right. Thank you. I've just been informed here by a clerk of the board that Villanueva won tonight 79-62 over Michigan. So thank you very much, and thanks for coming, everyone. Meeting adjourned.